the Boston Bruins have piqued your interest.
Hey,
Woo.
yuck.
Yeah. What do you mean, yuck?
Yuck and fart.
Well, what are you going to tweet? You've been like tweeting all day.
Oh, more like Jakob's Boril report to Ohio because he's now with the Blue Jackets.
That's right.
The Boston,
Or he's going to Cleveland,
Boston,
also in Ohio.
Boston and Brew Peeke.
While you're working on that,
figure it out.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your sleep. I just want to make sure that you are sleeping well. Because if you're not sleeping well, we want to give you something that can help you sleep well, and it's called Sleep Breakthrough. It's an all-natural formula. It's one of the formulas that doesn't make you sleepy the next morning. The whole point of having good sleep is to wake up feeling refreshed, and Sleep Breakthrough gives you that because it's an all-natural formula that provides the body with the precursors to melatonin. So you might be chomping on melatonin going, no, I'm fine. No, I'm good. I just got this melatonin. Oh, I've got the melatonin. No, no. Sleep Breakthrough is natural and it gets you to the melatonin, so you produce it yourself. Okay? So what you need to do, and I highly recommend this, you go to buyoptimizers.com/dangle. You get yourself some Sleep Breakthrough and you stop crushing melatonin and start doing it right with an all-natural formula, and we'll give you 10% off when you use the promo code DANGLE at buyoptimizers.com/dangle. Now, Andrew Peeke is a Boston Bruin, and so is Pat Maroon. We're going to start with Andrew Peeke because it's really interesting with Andrew Peeke. You look at his offensive numbers, and they're not good analytically. If you look at his defensive numbers, they're worse. So why is Boston interested?
I'm going to throw it out there. You know how I keep saying the Ducks stats don't count?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Columbus. There are a few teams that have been so bad for so long that you really can't take anything to do with their analytics seriously.
Right.
And then they go to a team that's like good and reputable and you go, oh, you know what I mean? Like, at what point does a team have the benefit of the doubt? I think the Boston Bruins should probably have it. Look at what they've done. Like, Jim Montgomery deserves the Jack Adams Trophy more this year than last, and he won it last year. The team on paper was better. It was way better. Now, they won 65 games, and they're not going to do that again, but they're still competing for the top of the division, top of the conference, shot at the President's Trophy. They might lose to a team in their division. Mm-hmm. Welcome to our nightmare, Boston. Peeke has not been part of a good program, but he's been highly touted for so long. I am kind of believing Boston's thought process on this one.
Okay. All right. Jesse, Andrew Peeke, Boston Bruin.
I know Andrew Peeke has been out of the lineup in Columbus. He hasn't been able to make their starting decor.
A lot of their best players have been out of the lineup for that team.
Yeah. So it's been a weird, rocky season for Peeke. So I'm not too concerned about what he's bringing to the table right now, because I don't know what he brought to Columbus, and he's gonna play a completely different role in Boston. So it's hard to say what he's gonna provide, because this season we haven't seen what he can do because of how shaky and weird Columbus has been with the management of their players.
You know what I hope he brought to Columbus is a bag so he can get the hell out of there. It's been a nightmare of an experience for him.
And it's good for Columbus to start offloading these defensemen, because frankly, they have a logjam and they got to get rid of some of them, and there's a lot of problems, and maybe they can use some of these defensemen that are valuable elsewhere to fix every other problem that they have.
Well, and Adam, you work for a Columbus Blue Jackets podcast. You do.
I do.
Agent Provocateur.
Oh.
Because Jakob Zboril is a noted Alan Walsh client.
Wow, and he joins other noted client,
David Urachek.
Correct.
And they will play together in the minors as a D pair, potentially, if the Blue Jackets continue to be weird and make him play there. They should probably stop being weird and let him play not there. Who knows? Maybe they'll even both be in the NHL together.
And it's a 2027 third round pick from the Bruins as well. 2027.
Better than the kick in the pants.
I guess.
How many times has a third round pick been traded for a guy who was regularly healthy scratched?
Man.
Well, it's 2024 though. It's third round pick season. Everyone is going for a third round pick.
Yeah, because it used to be like that with seconds, right? And you used to trade a first round pick for a guy whose contract was expiring. No one does that anymore. Now we're trading for term, right?
The cap-friendly page for the draft this year is going to be a mess.
It's going to be
For
great.
the third round
I
pick.
like that GMs are moving the picks a little bit more too. Now I want to talk about this because Boston is now, not only are they without their 2027 third, they're also without their 2026 sixth round pick
But why?
because they had to get Pat Maroon.
Patrick Maroon.
Also, Luke Toporowski
Yes.
is going to Minnesota as well.
The top dog.
Yeah.
Hey!
So Pat Maroon, who Jack Edwards, everybody's making the Jack Edwards joke today because Jack said something about Pat eating pizzas. Now they're going to be eating pizzas together in Boston. It would be great if they posted a picture eating a pizza together.
That would be great.
Hilarious.
Arms linked like at a wedding.
Yeah,
Yes, I would
that's
like that
your
very
social
Or like
media
a piece of broccoli, you know, because
But Jack has
Something
to eat the
healthy.
broccoli.
yeah.
Or does Pat?
No, Pat.
We'll work on it.
because
We'll work on the comedy gold.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yes.
So let me ask you, Pat Maroon. We're Toronto Maple Leafs fans. We know we're probably playing Boston, and Pat Maroon is the guy we've played in the first round the last 2 years. Why not a third?
Well, it's interesting. Like, I don't know how much this guy is going to play. He was injured about a month ago. We know what he can do when healthy. I strongly question whether or not he's healthy. Now he's got a month left, a little over a month, maybe 5 weeks until the playoffs begin. They've sort of filled the role of huge guy on the fourth line. There was Milan Lucic. He's very not there right now. Justin Brazeau has come in.
And he's big every time.
He's big every time. And here's a fun little idea, just a potential little pickle for the rest of the teams in the division. Can you imagine a fourth line with both of them? With Patrick Maroon and Justin Brazeau? It would, zero hyperbole, be the heaviest line in the league. Those guys combined are around the neighborhood of 475 pounds, something like that. 450 to 475. That is a lot of human being crunching you into the boards. And
to be honest, I want to say this too.
Yep.
If Pat Maroon fights somebody, let's say they fight somebody on the Leafs, or Justin Brazeau fights somebody on the Leafs, right, in the playoffs, and they both go off, I think Boston takes whomever they fight. Like, they take that trade every time. And the reason I say that is it's not like Pat Maroon's there. He has scored big goals in the past. This is a guy that played with McDavid on the first line. That's how bad the Oilers were at one point. But this guy's been in the finals. He's done his thing. He's on the back 9 of his career, probably the back 3 or 4 of his career.
He went to 4 straight Cup finals.
100%. So he's got the experience, and he's going to know when to jump in and be nasty. And if we saw anything last night with Boston and the Leafs, we know it's going to be a rough and tumble series. But it feels like Boston is loading up and going, we know it's going to, for them, it's Toronto, and then it's likely Florida.
Man,
You got to get big and tough.
one of the most underrated performances in the 2022 Stanley Cup final, I thought, was Josh Manson of the Colorado Avalanche. Patrick Maroon did his best to crack that egg. He went at him, he went at him, he went at him. And if Manson ever took the bait and he's off the ice, I think that final could have gone into a three-peat for Tampa.
Jesse.
Boston must know more than us, I guess, about Patrick Maroon because he hasn't played a game since January 27th. And then a week after that, they diagnosed him with a back injury and he hasn't played. You know, so where is the confidence that Patrick Maroon with a bad back injury is going to get back into action soon before the playoffs, get acclimatized to this new roster, and then be in the hard-fought playoff series against the Toronto Maple Leafs? Like, how is that play? What I just outlined is what must happen, and that sounds like a very difficult task. But if anybody's up to it, it's Patrick Maroon, obviously, who's been through a couple wars now, but if you're traded assets for him, it's a difficult thing to ask.
How about this? He doesn't need to be ready for game 1 of the playoffs. If I'm Boston, I'm looking forward, and I'm like, there's depth for the second and third round.
I want to throw something
I'm
else at you
serious.
guys.
Okay.
Why not?
Since we are talking Boston, what would make the least sense for Boston to do with this trade deadline?
Too much.
No. What would make the least sense in terms of moving off their roster?
The goalie.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
goalie.
don't think it makes
Don't-
any sense.
Don't touch them.
So here's what's interesting. Kevin Weeks of ESPN has just reported that the Bruins thought they had something with Linus Ullmark,
What?
but, quote, there was a deal that he essentially nixed in large part based on geography, I'm told. He has a 16-team no-trade list.
Good.
Interesting that going into the playoffs, if this is true, that Boston would be willing to move a goalie.
I think like the whole philosophy behind that is you deal away from your strength, address your weaknesses. But I think if
What
we've learned
weaknesses?
anything is you want to double down on your strength and just keep it like you have this tandem that is the strongest goalie tandem in the league. Why would you take away from that? But only one goalie can play at a time.
Yeah.
So if you have Swayman and he's your best goalie, having Allmark sit there doesn't help your team.
Linus Allmark, geography was the problem.
Feels like Canada.
Edmonton?
Yeah, is what
Feels
it feels
like
Yeah.
Canada. Wow.
Sounds like Edmonton.
Question mark?
I wonder if that comes out later. As of this recording, obviously we don't know, but Boston gets bigger, they get meaner, they get more Boston. And as a Leaf fan, I just hope we do something.